There's one question every business needs to be able to answer. When your ideal customer thinks about the problem you solve, do they think of you first? Most companies can't answer that honestly, and that's where every other marketing problem starts. Aloha, I'm Brent Shiratori, and this is Ideal Marketing. In this video, I'm going to walk you through the concept of brand positioning, what it actually is, why most companies get it wrong, and the framework I use with every single client I work with to get it right. We're going to cover the core idea behind positioning and why it matters more than almost any other marketing decision you make. We'll look at real examples across different industries so you can see what good positioning actually looks like in practice. And then I'll show you how to apply it, starting with the 2 things every strong position needs to have. By the end of this video, you should be able to describe your own positioning in a single sentence, clear enough that someone who hears it immediately knows who you help, what you solve, and why you and not someone else. Brand positioning comes from a simple idea in marketing. For people to choose you, they have to remember you first. And for them to remember you, you need to hold a distinct space in their head, a specific association that is yours and only yours. Think about luxury cars. When someone says luxury car, a brand comes to mind almost instantly. Not because the brand has the most ads or the biggest budget, because over time they have owned that idea in the market. They claim the space, and now when you think luxury, you think of them. Now think of a safe family car. A completely different brand appears. Neither of those brands happened by accident. Those companies made a concerted effort to truly represent what their brand would stand for and who it would stand for. And then every piece of marketing, every product decision, every message reinforced that decision over time. That's what brand positioning is. It's a specific place you occupy in your customer's mind. What you're for, what you do for them, and why you over anyone else who does something similar. And here's why this should matter to you. Whether you're running a company of 5 people or 500, if someone in your network has a problem you solve, you want to be the person who comes to mind. You want to own that mental real estate. Because if you don't own it, another company will. And they're the ones that will get the sale. So if positioning is about owning a specific idea in someone's mind, what do you think is the most common mistake companies make? They try to own all the ideas. I call it the wandering generality problem, and I see it everywhere, across every industry, across every company size, and every job level. The pitch sounds something like this. For a consulting firm, they'll say, we help companies with marketing, sales, operations, strategy, and leadership development. And every single thing on that list might be true, but when you try to be everything to everyone, you end up owning nothing, because a mind that's offered everything to remember has nothing to hold on to. Zig Ziglar said something I think about a lot. He said, don't become a wandering generality, be a meaningful specific. That phrase has stuck with me because it captures exactly what positioning is trying to do. Take something broad and make it specific enough to mean something to someone. The instinct to be broad is understandable. I know you're worried about ruling people out. You're worried about leaving money on the table. You've worked hard to build a range of skills and you want credit for all of them. But here's what actually happens when your positioning is too broad. Your sales conversions are harder because you have to convince every prospect that you're the right fit from scratch. Your marketing doesn't connect because it's trying to speak to everyone and ends up resonating with no one. And the people who would be your best clients, the ones who have exactly the problem you're built to solve, they scroll right past you because nothing you said made them feel seen. And the people who would be your best clients, the ones who have exactly the problem you're built to solve, they scroll right past you because nothing you said made them feel seen. Specificity is not a limitation. It's really the only way to matter to anyone. Let me show you what this looks like across a few different industries because I find examples do more work than frameworks. Let's take real estate. I'm a realtor tells me almost nothing. There are over 1 million realtors in the United States. That description positions you with all of them. Now, I'm the agent for families relocating to Hawaii from the mainland. That's a positioning. I know exactly who you help, what moment in their life you serve, and why your experience is different from any other realtor who never had to figure out how to buy a home from 3,000 miles away, and in such a specific place as Hawaii, no less. That one sentence does more work than a full page of committed to serving you copy ever could. Now let's look at financial services. I help people with their finances is the verbal equivalent of a blank business card. But I help small business owners plan their exit strategy is a clear positioning. Immediately, I know the kind of client they serve, I know the problem they solve, and if I'm a small business owner who's been thinking about what comes next, I'm now paying attention. That advisor didn't just describe their services, they described a specific situation, whether it's for me or for a friend who's complaining about how they're going to sell their business and not knowing what to do. Let's look at one more. I run a youth mentorship program. It does tell me what you do, but I help kids aging out of foster care build the adult support network they never had. It tells me the mission, the population, the specific gap, and the stakes in one sentence. You can feel the difference between them. One is an organizational description, the other is a reason to care. Notice what all three of those strong versions have in common. They name a specific person and they name a specific problem that person has. That's the whole framework. Just those two things. When I work with clients on brand positioning, I always tell them the same thing. You need two things. First, a very specific problem to solve. Second, a very specific type of customer who has that problem. Not a general problem, not a broad customer category. Specific. Narrow enough that when the right person hears it, they feel like you're talking directly to them. Now, I want to be honest about something because this is where most people get stuck. Getting specific feels risky. I get it. It feels like you're closing a door, like you're walking away from anyone who doesn't fit the narrow definition you've committed to. But think about it from the buyer side. If I have a specific problem and I'm looking for help, who am I going to trust more? The generalist who can do everything, or the person who has clearly spent their career solving exactly this problem for exactly this type of client? The specialist almost always wins, even if the generalist is just as capable, because positioning is all about perception, and perception of focus signals mastery. Now, I'm not saying you have to turn away work that doesn't fit your position perfectly. Early on, especially, you take the work that pays, but you market to the position. Your content, your LinkedIn, your website, your conversations should all be pointed at the specific person with the specific problem you're built to solve. Because marketing is about planting a cue in someone's mind so that when the right moment arrives, you're already there. The moment a small business owner starts thinking about their exit, I want them to have already seen your name 3 times connected to exactly that topic. So when they're ready to make a call, your name is the one they reach for. That only works if your positioning was specific enough to stick. So how do you actually put this to work? Well, I recommend that you start with the simplest possible test. Think back for a second. When someone asks you, what do you do? At a networking event or a dinner party or a Zoom call, what comes out of your mouth? For most people, the answer is a job title or category. And I know I've been guilty of this time and time again. I'd say I'm in marketing and tell them whatever company I was working for at the time, which is totally boring. That's simply not memorable because it puts you in a box with everyone else who shares that label. Answer with what you want to be known for instead. Like, I help mid-sized professional service firms figure out why their marketing isn't converting and fix it. Or, I work with small business owners who are 5 to 10 years out from retirement and haven't started thinking about what that actually looks like yet. Or, we help kids aging out of foster care build the adult relationships and support systems they were never given. Now, those answers tell a story. They make the other person think. They either see themselves in what you describe or they think of someone they know who fits this. And that's the beginning of a real conversation. Your positioning is only as strong as your willingness to say it clearly, out loud, consistently, without hedging it with, well, we also do this, but it really depends. Every time you soften your positioning by being broader, you just make yourself easier to forget. I've worked with clients who had genuinely differentiated positions but kept talking themselves out of them in real conversations because they were afraid of boxing themselves in. They'd nail it on paper, and then the minute someone asked, they'd widen the aperture just enough to make it meaningless. The confidence to hold the position is part of the position. So practice it. Say it to yourself before every call. Put it at the top of your LinkedIn profile. Make it the first sentence on your website, and then say it the same way every time until you stop second guessing it. Let me pull this all together. Brand positioning is the specific place you occupy in your customer's mind. Who you're for, what you solve for them, and why you over anyone else. The most common mistake is being too broad. Trying to serve everyone ends up being memorable to no one. Strong positioning has two things: a specific problem and a specific customer who has it. And the way you bring it to life is simple. Stop describing what you do in terms of category and start describing it in terms of the person you help and the problem you solve. Do that consistently, and the right people will find you. The wrong people will just self-select out, and your marketing will finally have something clear to say. If this video is useful, subscribe to the channel. I put out new content every week on marketing and brand strategy, specifically for leaders who are trying to connect what they do with real business results. Remember, you don't need to buy more ads when you have better ideas.